Hey, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hardcore Metal Detecting Radio Show. I'm Derek Asklar, and Craig Talley's on the line tonight. We'll be hosting the show. Just pretty much open lines tonight. And, if you want to call in and come up with a topic you want to talk about or ask a question or what have you, feel free to call in at 352-504-4170, and we'll get you on the air there, or you could just get on here and gab if you want to. We kind of just don't have a format when we have open lines. We just kind of go with the flow. I did try to get out today. Oh boy, I was all ready. Had the detectors loaded up. Craig, I hadn't been out in a little while. We went out to the pasture a little bit, but I was heading over to that good property and got the shovels and I got everything I needed. Get everything loaded up. Got in the truck, started it, backed out the gate, locked the gate up, and guess what happened? It downpoured. It rained like cats and dogs for about 3 hours. So it pretty well did me in today. Very frustrated with that because I was really looking forward to getting out there, but I did end up talking to the land caretaker, and he said, "Well, you can come on out here." He wasn't worried about it. He came out for about an hour. The landowner did, and he left. Because it started raining, so we didn't get the detector. I was kind of looking forward to getting the detector in his hand because he'd never detected before, but he was wanting to kind of learn or whatever and see what these detectors are all about. So I had the Quest in there and Bliss Tools and stuff like that. I just kind of put one in his hand and teach him a little bit. Well, I think I told you, Craig, that I was probably not going to get a lot of detecting done anyways, because you know how it is when you're kind of showing somebody how to do this. You're pretty much concentrating, make sure they're pretty much set before they get so they can start finding some stuff and everything. So I probably would have been walking along with him anyway. But yeah, I'll get out there. Just it really sucks when you wait for 2 weeks to go out and then you can't. Hey, you've been pretty much dealing with the same stuff. The rain.
Yeah,
and
well, it's like I told you, we've had like 3 or 4 days now of sun all day long and blue skies, but it's so humid. It's getting up in the 80s, and up until the other day, the backyard in the one corner was just, still so wet you couldn't even mow it. It was unbelievable. But I guess we're going to have like 3 or 4 more days of 90 degrees.
Yep.
But that's normal. We're getting into July.
Well, it is normal, but like down here, the last 3 weeks, we've been popping like 105, 106 heat index, humidity at 100%, thunderstorms. It's just usually we don't have it's almost like dog days of summer, but minus the rain, obviously. But usually we don't hit that until like the mid to end of July, in through Pauline, September, I guess. For the most part, just miserably hot, no wind. Most of the time, where I live at, we have a sea breeze that blows from the west coast to the east coast, and it kind of comes right through Bushnell, or right up that corridor right there. So we always seem to have like at least somewhat of a breeze, but it'll cut out right those months for the most part, and it just lets you bake. And even the dogs, the dog days, obviously they just stay in the house or lay underneath something. Loki had a crater. That was an adventure. I backed my truck out. So it wasn't paying much attention. I came back at night and I moved it over a spot closer to the house there and got out of the truck, and every bit almost fell right on my face. I stepped into a 2-foot hole. He had dug it out underneath my truck and laid down in it. And this dog digs like a rototiller, man. I tell you, he can dig a hole so fast, Craig, it's not even funny. And so I step out at last night, and well, we had to get together. Pauline's birthday and everything. It was a couple of days ago, and we kind of celebrated it yesterday along with a couple other people at the post that had the birthday the same week, and it was pretty good. The kids, my daughters and my son-in-law are in town, and he graduated on Friday morning. Got his master's degree over at Full Sail University, and I put it up on Facebook. I think I put it on my own page. But they did a really good job. I didn't realize, Craig, that they do everything there. They do cinematography, commercials, the whole 9 yards. They teach people how to do that, not only computers, but they put on the whole show themselves. It's pretty impressive, man. They really top of the line entertainment kind of deal. Of course, that's what they're there to learn anyway. So, but they put a pretty good a video together of the ceremony and all that stuff. But Kyle did real good, man. I'm really proud of him. He go to school. He did a 3-year course in a year and a half, something like. My wife's next to me over here, but she can't really hear the show because of the headphones. But yeah, he did I think it's a 3-year course in a year and a half, and plus works a full-time job and everything else. So the kid really stuck it out and got his master's. So he says he's going to wait for a little while for the doctorate. He's not going to do that same thing because he about worked himself to death. They have a really accelerated program over there. So, but anyways, they came out and we shot pool and they had dinner there and karaoke, the whole 9 yards. So we were out until, I don't know, 11 o'clock or something like that. But they had to leave this morning, get back up there to Virginia. But it was nice for him to come down. We had put our eyes on our daughter in about a year and a half because they've been working so much. And well, when you put your eyes on them, it's better. I could talk to her all day on the phone, but I just kind of one of those things where you want to make sure she's okay. So, but they're doing good. So they headed out this morning, and well, we're back to the grind, trying to get everything done for along with getting the property all around and getting out metal detecting and stuff. I'm really looking forward to that. But it's the hottest time of year. I was telling Paul, shoot any videos, I'm gonna look like somebody threw a bucket of water on me, I'm sure. But I want to see if I can, get out there this week to that property. I know there's got to be old stuff there. I mean, we've been doing more and more research on the place, and so have they. And I told them, I said, well, it's not out of the realm to find. I mean, we're talking, we know back to 1820, but there was probably somebody there before that, So, we may have a chance for some large scents and stuff like that, stuff that I usually don't find down here in Florida very often. Maybe, even Civil War stuff and the Seminole Indian, the war, all the bullets and stuff like that. So I'm really kind of looking forward to it. It's a big treasure hunt, really. But the thing is, we don't have a lot of the modern stuff there, or I don't believe it's going to be, because this guy's owned it for 25 years and hasn't done nothing with it. So, we're not going to have the modern beer cans, pool tabs, not as much as normal on a normal piece of property where there's a lot of foot traffic, so to speak. This place is pretty well secluded. So I'm really hoping that's going to mean, I don't know, good finds, stuff that's period anyways. So we'll see how that goes. If I can find one large scent, I'd be totally happy. So we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll find something better. Who knows? But I might find a bunch of junk. You just never know.
No, you can find a 2-cent piece.
Yeah. Maybe a seeded. I mean, just that stuff that I just normally do not have a chance to. Well, it's probably there. We found it over in Ocala, or whatever, for Florida Hunt 4. I mean, found a trigger guard from 1778. I found a tap. I mean, it's pretty much early 1800s anyways. And I think they found some seeded dimes, barber dimes, stuff like that. So, I mean, it is, it had the history on that property. And I'm thinking this property is going to be the same way. It just hasn't been touched, so I don't have to deal with the modern junk. Hopefully. I don't believe I'm going to, but I'm definitely going to follow the Stagecoach Road, because I actually did an overlay map using historical aerials. We have that site on our, I think that we have it on Facebook too, historicaerial.com, and you can actually do the slide, map of today, and then take whatever they have as far as aerial and survey maps from before that, and overlay them, and that way you can see where the roads are and stuff. And I actually, when he made the road, or not, cleaned it out to get out of the place, he just took the path of least resistance, and he's never more than 10 feet away from where the old Stagecoach Road was, according to the map anyways, because I can overlay and see. So I'm just going to follow it right on out of there, all the way across, and then it'll go in across through my property about, we'll say 800 acres away, 1,000 acres away, somewhere in there. So it's plenty up. I could probably hunt that property for the next 10, 20 years. It seems like there's just such a big area, and you just never know where stuff was. because in Florida it rots to nothing. Any kind of wood or anything. The only saving grace is there's a lot of limestone rock, these boulders and stuff like that, and we're talking, shoot, 30, 40,000 pound. They're boulders is essentially what they are. But I'm sure they used a lot of that. I saw it on the foundation of the bridge where the bridge came off the river onto this guy's property. He actually cleaned the bank off and everything, cut all the palmettos out of the way. And I went down there right by the river edge, and I could look up there, and I could see where they stacked those limestone rocks in there and then filled in between them. So they were hand stacked, however many, 100 and whatever years ago. So they're obviously using those, so I'll have to keep an eye out for weird stacks of those or whatever. I'll find stuff along there for foundations, because they used to use the old cracker houses were up on stilts, but the bases of them, they probably filled that in with the limestone rock, so I may be able to find other structures and stuff like that just by going by that. But as far as sight reading goes, it's really the only chance I have other than looking for indentations in the ground. You get those low, where a house was or whatever. Sometimes you get lucky to see that. So we're just going to go for it. You just got to hunt it methodically. You got to hunt it. I'm just going to start at the river's edge and work that whole area and just work my way out from there. Try to mark it off and grid it. So many feet in or whatever. I figure if I find something, I can mark it on a paper. I don't have to GPS everything or whatever, geolocate. I guess you can do that with this detector you can, but I can do it off my phone or whatever. I just want to get a general area. If I do it in 20 by 20 area, 20 foot by 20 foot areas, then I could just map it out myself and give them a general idea where stuff was found and the path it took, where it was good, a lot more stuff found compared to, like, say, the field if there's nothing in there. He'll have an idea of where people traveled anyways or where stuff was built, that kind of thing. So, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm just kind of chomping at the bit right now. I mean, I couldn't believe that today, getting in a truck. But that's the way Mother Nature is. She's going to do something. She's going to do it. But what have you been up to? Because you were mentioning you earlier before the show, you were saying something about you found something or someone. No, it was a video on YouTube or something like that.
Well, somebody was asking me because I mentioned. I was using Explorers, before I started using the Blitz tool and the Deus.
Right.
And so I thought, well, I got some videos, when I first started YouTube. And when I went to look for them, they're gone. And it seems like everything goes back to about, 5 years or so. And then the rest of the videos that I did before that are gone. And I've tried to search for them. I've tried all kinds of stuff. I don't know what, if they've just done this arbitrarily or...
Your videos?
I've never heard. Yeah.
No way,
so
really?
I got them back to 5 years ago. But then, the ones I did several where, like at the Colonial spot. Most of those are gone. The ones I did with Explorer when I first started, I did a couple in the yard.
That's crap, man. That's
bad. I did a couple of the trenches. When I first started, and I was like, that's crazy. But I can't find any information about it. I wonder if anybody else has that problem.
I don't know. I haven't looked at my YouTube account in probably 4 or 5 days because, everything's been so nuts here. I might have to look at mine too, see if mine are there. I'll be really ticked off about that. I kind of, I marked them private for right now until we get everything figured out with this other stuff and put them back up. And they better not erase any of mine. You can't, that's one thing about videos. That's what freaks me out about videos is you got to almost keep that information, download them on your computer and put them on an external hard drive almost because really, I got over 200 videos or something like that. I know you have at least that much on yours.
I got close to 300.
Yeah, that's a lot of time and effort and everything, information-wise. So I guess we're going to have to start looking at that. I'm going to figure out something. I'm just going to put them on. I have a 2 terabyte or whatever external hard drive. I guess I'm just going to start throwing them on there it should be able to hold them. Heck, I got, I think, 240,000 songs because I do DJing and karaoke and stuff like that. So I have to have an external hard drive for that. I think I use two point something terabytes of information on that. So I should be able to put 200 videos on no problem, I think. So we'll see. So what do you got?
Yeah.
You can't find anything like old, maybe old forum posts and stuff like that. Depending on which one it is, you may be
I
able
wasn't
to.
really on them.
Oh,
I wasn't really doing them much back then.
Hmm.
Like everything's kind of, that's. I think I started in 2000. I don't know, 11, doing video,
Yeah.
YouTube videos.
right.
I had like a bet with this kid that I taught tennis to, and we both decided to, let's, go ahead and do it. So we both put up videos, and I stuck with it, and he didn't. And I did a few weird videos, and then I was talking to my friend Mike, and I said, and I'm trying to figure out some kind of subject, to do on, videos. And he goes, how about metal detecting? And I said, oh, yeah, I could do that because I know pretty much, what's going on about that. And
Right.
done all this stuff. So, that's how I started. And, that's been fun. I'm up to 928 subscribers now.
Well, that's good, man. You're almost up there to. You guys get it on Craig's YouTube channel and boost him up there to 1,000 so he can actually monetize if you wanted to.
Well, I have to get a lot more views, but
do you?
hours watched. But
Really?
One of the things you have to have is that you have to have 1,000 subscribers or more.
I don't know, man. I think they're butchering everything. It seems like. I mean, Pauline was. Oh, good.
There's a lot of people going to Patreon.
Mhm.
They've got a PayPal button you can put on your videos, I think. I'm a Patreon of the Stealth Diggers,
Mm-hmm.
and they've used the money to improve their video equipment and different things like that. And I like, they're my favorite, YouTube
Oh yeah,
thing
yeah.
to watch. And they do now they do videos during the week called Not Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Their main videos on Thursdays. So then they got these Not Thursday videos that are like little shorter videos.
Right.
But you know what their internet speed is?
No.
1.5.
What?
And that's download. Upload is like 0.6 or something. It takes between 12 and 16 hours to
Oh, come
upload
on.
a video.
Are they using a satellite or something? They must be using
They're
like
using
Dish or something like that.
No, they use DSL
Really?
over the phone line.
Ugh.
That's what I had when I first started.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I mean, no, because it's like right now I'm running, was it 25 megabytes or whatever of data, and we ran 5. Well, my son-in-law's computer is like a supercomputer, anyways, but running that and 4 of their laptops, depending on who's using what, and then the TV and everything, we ran everything not a problem. The only time we ever had a problem is when he was uploading all his coded and programming and up to the college, or that would take 3 hours, but I mean, it was a huge amount. I mean, the kid types and does this stuff so fast, and I'm not even exaggerating, Craig. He had a MacBook Pro that the school provided him. It actually melted the back of the computer. It got so hot from all the things it was doing. Yeah, so I had a round scorch mark in the back on the bottom of the computer. And it's like, how in the world? I mean, because my computer gets warm when I'm like doing the show or editing, really, editing a video or something. But man, you put a lot of information in. But he is just crazy fast and throwing this stuff in, and the computer's playing catch up all the time, even the new ones. So. I mean, I can't imagine doing anything with 1 point whatever. To me, that's like, I don't know, I'd be slitting my wrist with a plastic spoon, I think. It would take a long time to upload that. So.
That's why I went from that. I had when I first started, I think it was like maybe $25 a month, and I went up to Comcast, and man, that was like a dream. The videos loaded. It took like sometimes 5 or 10 minutes to load enough to start the video.
Right.
Well, how bad it was.
Barb says it takes her 12 to 15 hours to upload a 10-minute video. My gosh, I didn't realize people were having this kind of... Well, if you're using satellite or whatever, you want DirecTV or whatever they call it with the satellite, I can almost understand. But then they hit you with other charges with that, too. During daylight hours and nighttime hours, it's different. I'm using Hardline, whatever, CenturyLink's like Comcast or whatever. It's a direct line. But to upload... Now, when I'm shooting raw footage, like to Evan over a Serious Detecting or something, like a metal detecting video or whatever I'm doing for him, it takes, because I'm shooting raw footage up to him, to upload it, it takes, I don't know, like 7 or 8 hours, but it's a huge amount of information too. So, and then he has to download them off that. That way he can still edit if he wants to or whatever, have his designer do it.
The upload is much slower than the
right.
Download.
Right.
I have like this Comcast Blast, and it's supposed to be like 250, but the highest I ever get is around 240, I think.
Right, but that's huge though. You do really good with that.
Yeah, I mean, I was testing it the other day, and it was a little slow. It was 180.
Oh, poor man. Poor guy. Gosh, man, you didn't get that extra sip of coffee in there.
But anyway, my upload is, I think 16. So, that's as good as most people's downloads a lot of times.
Yeah. No, I was just reading Ohio Relic.
It takes me like 15 or 20 minutes to, upload a 20-minute video. I mean, a 10-minute video.
Yeah, Bill Marsh says, it takes me no time at all to upload a video. I stopped making them. LOL.
Yeah.
Yeah, no time at all. But she's using it's a DSL phone, or a DLS phone, sorry. And just, I guess it takes a while. I've never, I don't think I've ever done
it comes in through the phone line. You have a little box. That's what I had.
Okay, well, that may, that obviously
when I first started,
slower.
I started about, I think 2008 or 9 is when I got an iMac, and I got the best one that was in the Apple store.
Yeah.
And my brother said, he kept bugging me to get a computer, get a cell phone, and get email. So I said, all right. So I got the best one that was in there, and I just learned. I didn't know a thing about it. I got this book called Computers for Dummies. And just started messing around with the computer and checking all this stuff, and I figured a lot of this stuff out myself. And I only had a couple problems. I had one problem where I had to call and get help from Apple, and after that, it happened again. The same thing happened again a year later, and I was able to fix it myself. And I had to do it then.
Yeah,
but
Yeah, Barb says that she's a mile and a half, or stops a mile and a half before her house, and she has to use the DSL or whatever to be able to do anything, and that sucks. We have now CenturyLink has the fiber optic, which gives you like a huge amount of more, but it stops literally down the street from me. But we have, knock on wood, we haven't had any problems. Of course, the kids aren't here anymore. It's just me and Pauline, and we run the TV. The whatever Netflix or whatever through that. So we're pretty fortunate that we do have that, a decent amount of service, because I don't even know how long it would take me to do stuff with, all the videos that we've done in the past and stuff. I hate to think that you lost those forever.
You know what? Netflix, I know when I was first doing it, they had this program they developed where they cached. So they actually upload ahead of the thing, so you're not going to miss anything, so
right.
Run continuously through. They had some kind of weird way of doing it, but they cached like the video before it was played
Right.
ahead of time or somehow. I don't know. It was pretty ingenious, but just for regular uploading. I mean, nowadays most people are uploading at 180,
Right.
or 1080. When I first started, it was SD.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you didn't have 1080. You didn't even have 720. I was looking at some of the older videos from 5 years ago, and I was like, oh my God, they look like crap compared to now.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Well, even now they have the 4K, and I have a GoPro here, GoPro 5, camcorder, whatever, action cam, and it says on there, even with the GoPro 6, you're shooting your outdoor videos, metal detecting videos, whatever. And the guy says right on I was watching a lot of the review videos, and just to kind of catch myself up faster on what this thing can do and how to set it up. And the one thing that really stuck in my head is, yes, it will record in 4K, but the guy's saying don't do it unless you're shooting like a cinematography kind of thing, because you shoot it in 1080 or a 2.7K. I can't remember what, but you want to shoot it at a lower frame rate or lower, I don't know what pixels, whatever. You want to shoot it in the lower number, not 4K, because it actually, the borders of your video, you don't have any editing room. It's going to be blurry a little bit and stuff if you don't know how to, the settings and how to work your editor. Where if you run it 1080 or 2.7K or whatever it is, you can actually have room to adjust your video. So if you're shooting outside and you're, like in the sun or something, you're getting a reflection, you can kind of edit that out a little bit or dim it down a little bit if you're in a lower rate than 4K. If you don't have any adjustment room, you're stuck with it. So that's something to keep in mind. You guys shooting outdoor videos and stuff.
These guys are doing all these, 4K drones, now.
Right.
And the ones like we got are 1080. And
Yeah.
I was thinking, but I listened to a couple of the experts and the guys that have all these things, and the guys said, 1080 is great,
Yep.
especially because it has 60 frames per second.
Right.
I think the 4K was like 30 frames per second.
Right, right.
And he said the amount of data that you have is enormous.
Well, they did a thing with that. With 1080, it took them 5 minutes to upload it. But if he shot it in 4K, it was like 20 minutes. So, you have definitely a big time difference between. And really, 1080 is to me,
and
is
it's
okay.
not supported. It's not really supported
Right.
either.
They can't handle it.
I could take 4K on my phone.
Right.
And I can, if I had a 4K, TV set, I could through my Apple TV, I could, beam it straight to the TV.
Right, right.
And probably in 4K.
Yeah,
But,
it's
But
definitely.
other than that, I mean, in a couple years, it's going to be normal. Everything will be 4K.
Oh, right. They just don't have
the
the system's not updated enough to handle it on a lot of these apps and stuff.
Apple is coming out with some kind of VR virtual reality headset that's going to have 8K.
Jeez. Why don't they fix something or get something working really good before they start bringing it up more?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what I was thinking about. You just mentioned that. I've often thought about YouTube and all these other places where we upload our videos, our metal detecting videos or what have, or photos. What are the chances that YouTube's saying, okay, fine, these people aren't making us any money because they're not monetized, but they can't comply, or are they going to start pulling information off and just getting rid of it?
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
That's the big question.
We may have to start downloading a serious amount of information just to save all of you out there.
There's millions of movies where people are venting. I mean, videos that people are just venting about this and talking about, some of the experts are talking about what they've learned. They've done all kinds. Some of these guys are ingenious. They know how to find out things, by manipulating the data and stuff, trying to like game the system, but didn't see how the system reacts and stuff,
Right.
And they they're constantly networking with all these other guys that are doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still, nobody, it's all about money at the bottom line. That's what it is. And now they're making a ton of money off of it, and they won't tell the government how much YouTube makes.
Oh yeah,
But because they have it all into the Google.
right.
It's part of Google, so it's not. They don't consider it another company, even though it's the second biggest search engine in the world. It's got, trillion years of videos on it.
Well, it's just like our shows, like when we were on 1,000 mics, those are gone forever. As near as I can tell her, I had to pay somebody to try to see them because I don't think 1,000 mics is even up and running anymore. But all those, I never downloaded the old shows. Of course, we had a lot of problems with 1,000 mics anyway, but still, I mean, it's the information that, or whatever the shows that we've done, I wanted to download them. I got them off of Mixlr. I think we're still up on Mixlr. I guess I still haven't checked that out yet. But yeah, you guys have done videos or put photos up and stuff like that. It might be a good idea to go through there and, at least back them up somewhere. Because if they are going to start doing this, I need to check out mine. If they start doing that, I'm just going to start downloading the crap out of all my videos just to get them onto a safe place so I can actually use them. Because if the information is gone, I mean, I couldn't store that much information in my computer, all that raw footage and stuff. It'd be kind of crazy to even try to do that. But the final product, I probably should have saved it instead of I was just trying to clear out space on my computer, to make it run faster or whatever. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go and I guess download all that stuff. I guess you guys are too. It's just weird, Craig. I've often wondered. I just never heard it before. You know what I mean? But if you're losing stuff, I mean, hell, I got less subscribers because I really don't, I really don't get on YouTube very much. I mean, I put stuff up on there, and I think the show automatically downloads to YouTube. But I mean, they're not gonna. Well, some people watch them, right on YouTube right there. But you can get them on Spreaker, in the archive shows and stuff. But yeah, we're gonna check that out more because there's a ton of guys. Well, all these guys have videos up.
I got an app called TuneIn Radio, and it's on the iOS, Apple platform, and you can basically log into any radio station, I guess in the United States. Probably, I don't even know if it's just the United States or not, but but anyway, they had this thing for podcasts, and I just typed in hardcore metal detecting radio, popped right up, and I was like, whoa.
Oh, they put us on. I don't know who does it. I guess they just move it over or something. I don't know. We've never.
No, they're considering podcasts just like regular radio now.
Wow. Yeah, you mentioned this last week. I thought it was that was a different platform. I think that was what's.
I think what was it? I think All Metal Mode was on there too, and
cool.
And maybe American Digger magazine.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Well, that's pretty cool. Anyways, I was wondering where the analytics were coming from because, I think I mentioned on the show before. I look it up on my cell phone. When I can actually do this show off my cell phone. I've done it before, but when I hit it there, it's like we have like 20, closer to 30,000 more views and stuff on the phone app. And when I go to the actual website on my computer, it says that. They may not be able to get the data, the analytics of who's seeing the show and stuff, but that may explain where these other people are. And they just kind of want to try to get on that platform. Maybe if we log into it or whatever, I don't know. I'll have to check that out too. So much stuff is changing, guys. It's changing so doggone fast. Now the newest thing, the one thing that really annoys me, makes me want to take a ball-peen hammer to my cell phone or computer is when I try to log into eBay. I have an account and everything. And the next thing is, it's telling you for your email address and your password. Now it wants to, we're going to go to your cell phone and look for a text message for a code so you can get into so now you have to do a password, your email address, and you have to wait for your cell phone or whatever, a text message so you can put a code in to get into your account. And they do that with with Yahoo and, a couple other things along with eBay, which I don't really do too much on eBay, but still, I mean, it was just annoying. Pauline had it happen today on her cell phone where they wanted the code. She had to close out and go over to her text and her messaging and get the code. I know it's just like, and if you don't have your phone, you're screwed. Literally,
Yeah.
you can't get into your account. I don't even know if I like that or not. I mean, I know it's for theft and or whatever, being hacked. But God, it's if you don't have your cell phone with you, but you have your laptop.
I don't
I don't know.
have it on my phone, but I could get this Walmart app, and you can actually wirelessly pay for your bill right there, on their reader.
Yeah.
Through your phone.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so much stuff going on. I can't even keep. I don't know how we've kept up with it so far. I mean, it seems like everybody is having some kind of an issue or some kind of things changed with these new operating systems, like a High Sierra, or whatever. They upgraded that, and then Windows 10 they're still having problems with. Some people are, anyways. It's just, I don't know. I think the almost like the apps can't handle this, whatever they've done, and they're having to make changes. I just had one the other day, Craig, and it took like almost 2 hours to update. So there was obviously some problems, but I never ran into them. They were fine, but I don't know. Who knows what's going on? It's crazy.
Apple did for the next operating systems, they pared it down, and they're making it leaner, and they're making it less glitchy instead of adding all these new things on.
Right.
They're smoothing everything out, and they've gone to some kind of new coding that doesn't take up as much data and stuff.
I wonder if that's going to mess. I wonder if that's going to mess with these detectors too, Craig. Like like the Deus, like the Equinox, the Quest, a lot of these detectors are going to they do these updates. I wonder if that's going to mess with like if you got your Deus 3 years ago, 4 years ago,
6 years ago.
Yeah, 6 years. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's going to do this, but I'm just saying the kind of, because the technology's jumping, is it going to like mess up? When we update new information into our detectors, because that seems to be the way they're going with that. They change programs around, firmware updates, whatever. That's another thing that's going on a lot is firmware updates. When you buy some, you got automatically, boom, it's already changes that have to be
I know guys
changed up.
that were so used to 3.2 on Deus that when they tried 4.1 or whatever, they didn't like it, and they went back to 3.2 because they said the nuances weren't the same and stuff. But
yeah, I'm kind of, I'm just kind of getting excited about the Quest Pro with them totally updating or whatever, or making it better on wet salt sand. The programming internal, whatever. They're going to do some kind of an update to make it work even better on wet salt sand, and I was looking forward to that because I can adjust it out, what I need to. But anytime they can make it more stable right off the bat, hopefully it doesn't lose any depth at all. I don't think it will, but
most of these newer top of the line detectors are, they've got these firmware updates now on the chips.
Right. Well, I put those videos up. You saw.
Deus has been around for a while, and they're still,
kicking ass.
There'll probably be another update in a few years.
Yeah, but they're still doing good, though. I mean, the detector's solid. I mean, it does what, it does a damn good job. A lot of people use Deus, and even with the Quest 40, I did that video with it. It's up on, I think I put it on Hardcore Metal Detector. Maybe I put it on my personal Facebook page. But I was hitting a 0.09 gram nugget at like 4 or 5 inches above the ground or whatever, with no problem. I mean, that's a small piece of gold. So, and I know that like the Equinox gets gold rather easily. It seems like they've changed. I don't know if they've changed. I think they put some different filters in. I don't know. It just, they seem a lot more sensitive than a comparable machine that came out like 3 years ago. You know what I mean? Usually a small item like that. I mean, the Quest 40, I got a 9-inch dime.
The speed of those chips now.
Yeah, it has to be.
And then you can do other things with those chips now that you couldn't do before.
Yeah.
You can probably do 4 or 5 different functions at the same time that you couldn't do but one or two before.
Right.
So it adds on, and also the ability to be able to program that chip, reprogram it. That's pretty crazy, makes it almost into a new machine again.
Right. Yeah, I just, it's kind of neat that they can, I never thought that we would get quite to this point as far as, like with what Deus has, done in the past, these updates and everything. You got to get your mind wrapped around what they're doing, I think, to be able to, I don't know, make the machine better, make it more, that you can adjust it more. These weird settings might start working. That's why I always tell people, fiddle with the thing. If you got some time and you're just trying to get your detector better, don't be afraid to make adjustments. But, if it doesn't work, you just move it back. But it may provide an opportunity to get some things that detectors don't really do very often. You can kind of get them to do that. Bliss-Tool works like that, but I mean, it's not through, computers. It's just circuitry of, in the board, being able to do this zero ground balance and these ferrite ground balances and stuff, and be able to work these different knobs and in a way that increases power somehow. It makes the detector react differently. Hang on, sorry guys. It's a telemarketer. My wife's answering it. She's probably going to yell at him, so hang on. I've been getting these crazy ones. People are in jail and you need to help them out, and you're wanted in 50 states for some kind of crazy thing. Well, they don't even tell you. They say you need to call immediately so you can take care of this problem and stuff. It's like, all right,
yeah,
if they
I'm
want
to get one, and they've been in Chinese or Korean or some kind of Asian language. I don't, they just start blabbing. I'm like, what?
I get annoyed with this. Okay, if they want me that bad, I'm going to have, freaking, I don't know, 20 SWAT teams here coming to get me the way they make it sound. I'm like, come on, I wasn't even in that state. I haven't been in that state in a long time. But they're talking like, they just do it to scare you, to make you call them so you give them money, and it's not even a legitimate thing. Believe me, if they're after you, they're going to let you know. They're going to send you a certified letter or show up at your door or something. They're not going to make a phone call and expect you to call them back. But they have another one out now too. They got to be careful. They're getting slick on the way they do stuff. So, oh shoot,
it's a constant war, just like on spam and on Facebook and stuff. And
mm-hmm.
I got like probably 6 weird ones. They got this guy. Or no, they got this girl, and then they said his profile.
Right.
And I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
But if the person doesn't have an avatar, like a picture or anything, I just delete it. I don't even look at it.
Right.
If I don't have a picture, that's suspicious enough. I got too many people anyway.
Yeah. I've been, I get more, and I know a lot of y'all are getting these friend requests and stuff. Man, I'm having to go down through each one of them, and I just look at the friends list. I know, if you're on there, Craig, or I saw, Mark Hoover was on one, and these people want to be, whatever, like the page, and they want to, send a friend request, but you don't want all the BS ones. In other words, the BIM bets and all that. And you're having to go through each one of them now, because I'm getting slammed. Like, every day I have to go through, and that's why I told you guys, if I ever accidentally, whatever, you wanted or send a friend request and I denied it, it's probably not purposely done. You get to clicking that button and going through and ignore all the way down, because you see like one person, one mutual friend or 2 mutual friends. And most of the ones I look at, it's like, okay, they're not even into metal detecting. They're not interested in the show or anything like that. It's just kind of like, I don't know, whether it's spammers or whatever they are. If I ever do that, guys, just message me. Say, hey, you booted me somehow. No, I'll put you back on there. It's no big deal. But you just get like tunnel vision. You're seeing all these names pop up and, all these friend requests. You don't know what to do with them. Email's about the same anymore, too. They're hitting me in that way. But if I take the notifications down, then I don't know if you guys, like Craig, if you sent me some, if I take down notifications, is it going to take away yours too? Like if you try to get a hold of me through Facebook? I don't know how that's all working now, if they've changed that. Through my cell phone is what I mean. Where you get those little notifications on there, because I hate to miss
I was getting I get so many notifications. I had to turn the thing off. I still get them, but I have to look for them.
It's becoming a real problem because, it's like obviously.
Because otherwise, sometimes at night, you're sitting there trying to sleep and bing, bing, bing.
Yeah.
God, God.
And, yeah, they're talking about it on chat here too. It's kind of going down through all this. We got a lot of people at Barb's on here tonight, and Jason and Mark Hoover and Robert Walgass, and let me see who else we got here. I saw Jason on. Yeah, Jason's on here. I think I saw Ohio Relic Hunter Bill Marsh on here too. Obviously, I mentioned him earlier. If I missed you, sorry about that. I'm kind of panning down through here. I have a hard time doing both the show and this, but at any rate. But, getting, as far as, the metal detectors and the programming, it seems to be handling, but I don't know where they could take that, Craig. I guess they could take it probably pretty far then. I mean, in the next 10 years, you probably may not even have to buy another metal detector. You pretty much, if they can get the programming right in it, they just essentially upgrade it to a new detector, as far as performance and everything, which is actually really good. It's a good savings for the regular guys out there, guys and gals that, maybe, you don't want to spend another, $1,500 on a metal detector, you know what I mean? If they can do the process and it doesn't hardly cost you nothing, that's better. Just do it over the internet. But we'll have to keep an eye on that and see how that's working out. I think they already had an update for the Equinox, didn't they, Craig? I think I remember somebody saying that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'd like to see that, the technology jump some more. I mean, it's been really doing well for the last, 7 or 8 years anyways. The different detectors, what they can do and everything. The more power, definitely, and more sensitivity to items. Because, the Quest 40, I could hit a 9-inch dime with it. And, I know that if most of the detectors I've used in the past have a hard time with an 8-inch dime most of the time, depending on what kind of ground you have and everything. So that was impressive. Even the recovery delay and stuff, we talked about that on past shows. It doesn't only mean, as you use more recovery delay, you're losing depth in most cases. Well, in all cases, really, because it's almost like discrimination. You use too much discrimination, you're starting to, kind of cut into the detector's performance. You got to open it up and let it breathe a little bit and use other ways of telling whether something is good or bad as far as a target. So you don't lose the depth. And, that seemed to be a problem, 10 years ago, Craig, something like that. Well, actually, it's always been a problem. You use too much recovery delay or too much discrimination and everything. You're actually missing stuff because it doesn't know what to do. It reads up stuff, kind of weird. That's why, I always tell guys, go down to nail, like square nail, and hunt everything above that or something if you have to. But, I mean, don't put too much discrimination. I saw one guy on the beach there. He was using like 3/4 to almost full discrimination. And I'm like, man, you can't do that. I mean, well, you can do that, but I was telling him, so you might want to lower that down a little bit. You're missing stuff. You're going to miss gold and, nickel and all that kind of stuff if you're cranked it up that far. But, to each their own. I mean, if you're in a junky cellar hole, obviously you want to have some more on there. But, Craig, you're even doing well, though, leaving the discrimination low and just going totally by the way the sound is.
Cellar hole people are just like relic hunters. They're digging just about everything anyway.
Right.
If it makes a good beep, what if you watch the stealth diggers, they run around with no headphones on a lot of times. At least Charlie and some of the other guys, and they let you hear the signals. They're using AT Pros, and you can hear it. Like they'll go into a site and they'll turn the machine on. They go, "Oh, this looks good," and they'll turn it on and go, it's making all these iron signals everywhere, and then all of a sudden they'll hear, a good signal pop out, and then they'll zero in on it, give you the, numbers on it.
Right.
And sometimes they dig signals in the 30s and 40s, and they're good. You know,
Right.
they're little tiny buttons, or when they get the signal comes up out of the ground, the signal changes and it's a lot higher.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably on edge or something, you know. So, you know, that's a way of increasing your finds. I mean, you'll probably find more junk, but, you know, you're also going to make, you know, some pretty cool finds.
Yeah, because
You know, and you'll find gold. If there's gold there, probably not in the cellar hole much, but
mm-hmm.
I don't think a lot of those people had, you know, they were kind of like settlers, you know, they probably didn't have gold coins, but they didn't even have very many silver coins.
Well, I got Jason was on here asking about the nasty pennies on the beach, you know, and then how corroded they are. I mean, what I've done in the past, Jason, because they're probably going to be junk pennies anyways. They're probably a lot of the Zinkans or zinc pennies, you know, from after 1986. They started putting a lot more zinc in
82.
them. Or 82, I'm sorry.
82 was the next. 83 was when the first zinc pennies.
Right, and I've gotten new pennies, the ones with the shield on them or whatever, and they haven't even been in the beach for a year or two, whatever. And I mean, they're totally shot, man. They're just like eating them right up. But what I do is I literally take a hammer. You know, if they're pretty much sure they're regular zinc pennies, but you can just set them on a hard surface and smack them with that hammer once and bust some of that corrosion off. And then Mark Hoover told me I grab a rock tumbler, but I've had banks turn them down. You know what I mean? They won't.
Yeah,
they can't tell what they are. They don't want.
You know what I used to do is you used to bag your own coins, you know, and
right.
in the little rollers.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to put some nice pennies in the bottom, maybe 2 or 3, and then fill the rest up, you know, except for the last 2 or 3 with, you know, bad pennies.
Yeah.
And do it that way, you know. And then it got so where you were supposed to put your account number on you know, rolls and all that crap. And then they got so where even the banks had, you know, these machines to do it, and they don't want you. It's like Coinstar, you know.
I used to do the Coinstar thing. I had I think one year I had over $150 in clad. You know, I've been hunting beaches and stuff, and you know, of course, I smack them with a hammer and clean them best I could, you know, just because. But then you run them through the Coinstar, and it doesn't know what the hell. I mean, because they're going by weight and size, I'm sure. But yeah, it started being an aggravation. It was throwing half of them back, and I don't know. What are you going to do with them? I mean, you know, can't get a bank to take them, can't get Coinstar to take them. Nobody wants them because they're kind of got that coating on them. Can't read them. So, I mean, I can't really blame them for not taking them. So what do you do with them? Just throw money away? You know, I guess that's what we have to start doing. But
they're only 2% copper and 98% zinc.
Right.
Zinc is zinc is called a sacrificial metal. It's just
I don't even know why they bothered making them out of that. I mean, really, when you think about it, I can find a wheat penny on the beach that's been in there for over 100 years, and it's just green. Maybe has a little bit of, you know, white on, you know, sand stuck to it or whatever, corrosion. But you find a penny from 5 years ago, and it's just ate up so bad it's like Swiss cheese. You know, I don't know. It's
the same in the ground.
Yeah.
You know, you dig them out of the ground. You know, in just a couple of years, I remember, that back I started Mellotech in '86, and there wasn't as many of those, you know, newer pennies in the ground. It was mostly copper, but over the years it got so where, you know, this place got carpeted with those damn zinc pennies, you know, and I can see where people won't dig those signals, you know, but it could be a class ring.
Oh yeah, it could be. You know, it could be. You know, I've seen stranger things happen. I mean, Barbara brought up a good point too. To keep the pennies separate from the rest of your coins when you tumble them, or the other coins that, you know, like dimes and nickels and all that stuff will turn brown,
green,
brown,
whatever.
Yeah, you separate the pennies out from everything else. Sorry, guys. Shoot, still got these allergy thing, Craig. My voice is shot.
Oh man,
big time.
it's like one eye. My left eye has more allergies than the right eye for some reason.
It's not equal. Barbara says too to use aquarium gravel. That's probably a good idea. Don't bother with the little fine sands and stuff. You're going to use a rock tumbler. Hell, that sounds like a good idea, Barb. Put aquarium gravel. You don't really care whether what they look like after, as long as they look like a penny somewhat. Just so you can, we're not going to worry about one or two pennies. But if you got a whole bunch of them, because I just throw them in a bucket. When I get done or whatever. If they're just regular clad, I just throw all my clad. Usually dimes and nickels and 1/4, whatever. And at the end of the year, I'll take them in or whatever when they get in the way and I can't move the bucket anymore. I just take them in and cash them in. That's about the only thing I get rid of, Craig, is all the clad, regular clad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really want it, but all the
I
good
just
stuff
save it
I
up
keep.
and I just save it up and then take it to Walmart and jam it in their machine.
Yeah, the first hey, let me tell you something. I had 2 5-gallon buckets full of change that I found metal detecting total over. I think the first, I want to say 5 years or something like that of metal detecting. I kept everything all the time. I got tired of moving the doggone buckets around. It's kind of, you should see me go to the bank with that. That was funny. I bring money in by the bucket full. I couldn't even pick up the bucket. I had to separate it all out because 5 gallons of quarters and dimes and stuff. That's a lot of weight, but. Yeah, I just, started just getting rid of it, every so often, just because I didn't want to mess with it too much. But
yeah, I had two. I think it was like those little small plastic trash cans you have like in your bathroom. They're kind of short. I had 2 of those full of pennies.
Mm-hmm.
God, I don't know. I know I've dug at least 20,000 coins, over the years, but. I think the first 3 or 4 years, I probably dug 10,000 coins.
No,
then I got into relic hunting and didn't find, I didn't find, as many coins, but I found a lot better ones.
I look at on here. I guess Ohio Relic Hunter uses he said use aquarium gravel, vinegar, and coarse rock salt. And half a pound of pennies in 20 minutes in a tumbler. That's not bad. That's pretty quick. And Jason says he needs a bigger hammer to hit the pennies with. I just use a little ball peen hammer. I just got tired of messing with them most of the time. But we don't. If it rains a lot, I guess. Up north they say in the wintertime they do that because they can't hunt. But down here it's just when it's raining too much, I guess. I hear Morgan in the background. He wants another treat, Craig. Better give him one.
He's roaming around. He doesn't like it when I'm not paying attention to him.
Yeah.
Which is every Thursday and Saturday at this time.
Just give him his own microphone. We'll get him on the show. But no, there's some of these settings that we use too, and we've done shows about settings. And I kind of. There's a lot of new people in the hobby and stuff. I kind of had a tendency to kind of gear towards them a little bit about it. I find myself I get a little too far ahead of them a little bit, and I have to back off as far as information goes because it's almost like information overload. I mean, I know a lot of you guys on here have been hunting for years, so it's not sometimes kind of repetitive what I talk about sometimes, or what me and Craig talk about. But we need to do a show just for. We'll call it high performance detecting or something like that. Certain detectors and stuff. I mean, of course, the Bliss tool we know backwards and forwards, so we can help you out with that. But we use other detectors too, and get some of the guys. Well, we've had like Brandon on and Bill's called in before the AT Pro years. Evans called in, about the Bliss tool and the Deus and stuff like that to get a different perspective on what they're doing with the machines. And it's just stuff that, Craig and I have found that works really well. But, like the stealth diggers, they probably do, they're using some, different kind of settings. They dig a lot more targets too, compared to most people. They're digging up marginal signals left and right just because there might be something good, some good in the hole, So you'll find that they're using less discrimination, less everything. That's kind of what Craig and I do also. We're trying to get as much power and much target separation as we can. So we're running settings that are kind of unorthodox sometimes. It sounds like they are, but they give us the performance we need. We're just using, and we dig some junk. Don't get me wrong, but the chances of finding a deep target, or a good target, and unmasking it—that's what we're looking for. Because you've got layers of stuff, new stuff, and as you get deeper, it's usually older stuff, obviously, in most cases, anyways, unless you're dealing with the field. We try to pretty much open our machines up more, give them more breathing room. Don't put the restrictor plate on them. In other words, don't hold them back because you're losing performance. If you can do it, just lower that discrimination down, especially in a field situation. I've had a lot. If you're not getting anything, any kind of, it just seems like it's barren. There's no signals at all. Heck, move that discrimination down some. I mean, I move it down quite a bit. Obviously, if you get a target, you're going to see a VDI number anyways. It's going to give you some kind of idea, but go by the sound, because a lot of these newer detectors seem like, Craig, like especially the Quest, it seems to act a little bit like the Bliss tool, where they won't lock on. If it's junk or whatever, it'll give you, it won't sound clean. And I'm not sure how they accomplish that, to do that. But I mean, it's obviously in the settings and the way they have the board set up and everything. But it was nice to know that, because you can use that as essentially using sound as a discrimination tool. We can do that with the Bliss tool, turn it in all metal, and I can tell you the difference between bottle caps and quarters and stuff rather easy, or iron or what have you, just by the way it pinpoints. But it's little tips that work for us, and can make you a better hunter. I mean, you're going to find more stuff. You may dig more junk, but you're going to find good stuff too. Craig's Yard's a perfect example. He keeps on, you dig a target and get 10 nails out of the hole. I mean, obviously the detector got down in between all that stuff, but
sometimes it's not, a clean signal either.
Right.
It sounds, it has some cleanness to it, but it also, like in the other direction, sometimes I've had signals that wouldn't come back in the other direction.
Right.
And the wildest one in my front yard was I got this beautiful signal in one direction and not in the other at all. Mm. And I just kept thinking, man, that just sounds too good. And I even went down to 10 on the discriminator, and it was still, giving the good signal that one direction. And so I dug it, and it was this round iron buckle, and probably some kind of horse buckle, and it was old. It was kind of oval almost.
Almost a cast. Yeah. And cast iron will come through like that too. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
But anyway, and I thought, that's a pretty good signal. But I went over the coil with it, and it was, just a scratch, and so. I went back over the hole, and it was just popping. It was just beautiful signal in both directions. And I thought, and it turned out to be a big broken pewter spoon, it was almost like a, I don't know, it was huge bowl on it, and then part of the handle was, broken off.
Maybe like a ladle or something like that. It sounds like a ladle.
It wasn't. It was shaped like a spoon, but it was huge. Maybe it was for soup or something. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Really.
You get some of these items of pig metal, I call it. That. No, good. Sorry, I keep on cutting you off, Greg.
Well, it was kind of ornate. It had some, swirls and stuff on it, and it was down a good foot deep in the ground too. That was. But that's the kind of things that the Bliss can do. If you, and I've learned. I'm still learning. I hear things. I keep hearing different things with this machine, and I keep fiddling with the settings. Trying to get. It's not just trying to get extra depth. It's trying to get through the iron mostly. Because this yard is perfect training ground for learning how to operate a machine. It could probably be frustrating for a lot of people, but I think I find it a challenge. It's because I know there's got to be more stuff but it's getting harder to find.
Right, right. I got a little side note here. I just realized, or I saw on here, I guess Bill's worked at a CB shop worked for one for 3 years and had his own for 4 after that. Yeah, brother, I need to talk to you. I haven't messed with CB radios in a while, but I have the kick butt one, put it that way. And I'm trying to remember exactly which one it was, but I was pushing 2,200 watts out of between the kicker and the CB radio right there. But I don't know if there's still a market for those or not. It's a Ranger radio. I'll get with you on private message sometime tomorrow or the next day. I just got a couple questions for you because I haven't even hooked this thing up on my pickup truck or anything like that. I used to run over the road, and I wanted something so I could reach out and smack somebody with a lightning bolt is what it amounted to, and talk over everybody so I can get directions or back in the day. But I definitely want to talk to you about that because I had it sitting here. Maybe you want it. I don't know. But that used to be another thing I used to be really into, is CB radios and stuff. Electronics has always kind of interested me, but metal detectors kind of, I don't know, it's like an addiction. I can't get enough of these detectors and what they do and how they work. And I guess it's part of the addiction, Craig. Can't help it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the whole package. I watch videos all day.
Right.
I run out of videos to watch sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, this all that Robert's saying, the Ranger, yeah, it's a Ranger radio. I'm trying to remember the number on it, model number. I don't know. It has a 225 watt kicker built into the radio, and then I ran I think it's a North Star, or oh god, I'm trying to remember the name of it. I don't know. I put bigger pills in it. I don't know, but between the two of them, I was pushing 2,200 watts out of it. It was enough to actually spark or arc onto your lip if you weren't careful when you're talking in the microphone. It sometimes catch your mustache. I have a mustache, and it lighted it up once in a while, so that was a lot of power. But then again, I could pretty much didn't want to talk to you. I just key up and talk. Nobody else could hear, so I just didn't like to be squished. I call it getting squashed or whatever by people going down the road. You're trying to get information, so. Anyways, play toy, in other words, Craig. It was another hobby. Mm-hmm. But I got to dig that thing out, too. All this stuff that I've got, I've always tried to improve on whatever I had. I couldn't afford to go out and buy these things, brand new or nothing like that. Or didn't really want to spend the money on them, so I'd buy a used one and have them all revamped and stuff like that and tuned up. And it's kind of like what I do with Blistles now. I mean, I can sit there and tinker with them a little bit, and you can get more power out of them and stuff. But I can't do that for customers or whatever. I guess now I can't I, Craig? I'm allowed to do that kind of rogue stuff now. But
yeah.
Before, when I was authorized to service center, I couldn't really tinker with them for customers because of the warranties and everything. But there's some adjustments that can be made inside of them, obviously. Just a lot of work, but you have to work with the oscilloscopes and multimeters and all that junk. But I've gotten a little bit dangerous with that. I can actually push a lot more power out if I want to. So, but you have to be able to control it. It has to be stable. That's with any detector. If your detector is not stable and nice and not falsing and stuff like that, you don't want it falsing and stuff. You want a nice stable detector. If not, you're going to battle with it all day, and it's probably going to win. And I've had guys do that. I mean, I think Tim was on here, and he was dealing with real bad EMI and stuff around his house, and or underground lines or something, and he couldn't get it stable, and it was making him miserable. But you have to get away from that stuff a little bit. If you can't offset it with a frequency offset, and the EMI is coming through that bad, you're almost going to have to leave or move away from it or turn down. Sometimes you can get away with turning up your ground balance some. Of course, with the Blistol, I could tell you a million different ways to do it. But I mean, with these other detectors, running a lower gain and trying to get
the way I did, where I could get my B6, stable almost under the power lines in the front yard. Now it seems like they went to this other shielding, and I've asked a couple of people about it, and they did. And there's not, there's hardly any EMI now.
Right.
But the one thing was the gain seemed to, the higher the gain was, the more unstable it was. And then if you ran the threshold too high.
Right.
And I experimented with, running the gain low and the threshold low, and you still get pretty good depth and everything, but you got to think, you're not going to get quite as much depth anyway in bad EMI. Even if you try to crank it up, you're probably going to get less.
Yeah. Well, here's an interesting thought on that, Craig. You remember what happened at the CWPPO hunt when we were around that tavern? You were hunting there pretty much with one or two people, and you guys were doing great. And then everybody came in and, just kind of hunting. And so many metal detectors were around that everybody kind of stopped finding stuff. And, they all left, and then you started finding stuff again. And I often wonder, what EMI are we not hearing that's affecting our detectors? Because there's days, I'm not getting any signals anywhere. But then I'll go out 2 weeks later to the same doggone spot, and lo and behold, there's targets everywhere. And that doesn't matter which detector you're using. What is messing with? I guess we can get an EMI meter. I don't know if that'd even work. I guess it would in a different situation. Because I honestly think that there's certain.
I saw a guy testing drones, with this EMI meter to see if the EMI was what was affecting the drones.
Right.
But I thought it looked like a little handheld thing. I think he said it was about $70 or $80.
Yeah,
but he said it works. So.
Well, they use them for paranormal investigations and stuff too. EMI is EMI. It's going to pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
But what? I guess what I'm trying to say is what EMI is coming through that our detector isn't really noticing, as far as giving you falsing and stuff like that, or whatever. What is it not noticing, and it's affecting the performance of our detectors? If you could find that out, at least you would have an idea of how to adjust for it. Because it's like, it was funny because I think it was Evan that did it. All these guys were hunting right there. They all kind of moved out of the way, and then Evan finds I think it was a dime or something at 4 inches. That wasn't, he just went over that area before and didn't get nothing. So were the other detectors too close? Even though we weren't really getting a lot of falsing between us, like the Bliss tool, I just tuned it all the way out. But am I hurting myself by putting too much, I guess you could say, iron ore mode and restricting it a lot, but is it still affecting it? And I think it is. When you get to these group hunts where there's a lot of people around, they were saying that at the digging, DIV hunt, digging in Virginia, where we looked out into the field and there's like 200 people down there metal detecting with the GPXs and stuff. You're throwing all that pulse waves through the ground. Is it messing with the other pulse induction detectors? Because they're all kind of running the same kind of deal with the GPXs and stuff. And then you have detectors like the Infinity. I'll never forget that, the Garrett Infinity or Infinium or whatever. That thing throws EMI off at like gangbusters. I think the only detector I could work by it is the V6. Only because the lady that was using that was in my carpool group, the Infinity.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to work 7 or 8 feet from her.
Yeah, but I wonder how much it's affecting the depth and stuff, even though you were able to run with it.
Right. And that's, when you get that many pulse machines in one spot, is it affecting them? Because that's a lot of, signal going into the ground. I don't know how far to the sides that would go, or if you get something like a fear cage almost, with EMI. You get wires everywhere. They call it a fear cage kind of thing, and it messes with people. You can get rashes, sick to your stomach. You can have a lot of these symptoms from EMI, electromagnetic kind of stuff going around, especially on basements and stuff where the wiring isn't the best, and a lot of those little the square DC whatever you plug them into the wall outlets with the box on them. Those things throw off a lot of EMI too. And I'm sensitive to that stuff, man. I that stuff messes with my brain big time. I can feel pressure almost. And some people have that problem, some people don't. Some people get rashes or sick to their stomach or whatever when they're around this stuff. Obviously we're not going to deal with that in the field very much, hopefully, or in somebody's yard. But if it's doing that to us at a high rate, what's it doing to the detector that's basically set up and sending signals itself? Is it interfering with the signal of the detector itself when it's getting information. It's kind of a deep topic, but I mean, I really think it is. That would be the only thing to explain why one day you could do so well and you have so many targets. The next day you go out and you get nothing, and you go out the next day after that in the same spot and start digging a bunch more. I mean, depending on what kind of hunting you do, or how you run your metal detector, how methodical you are. I mean, usually Craig and I are working the heck out of an area, and we're trying to cover as much ground as we can, but also be thorough. So if you hunt it, you don't get anything, and the next day you come out there and you dig 12 targets. Well, what the heck happened? Because we're, essentially doing the same thing we were doing the day before. So, I know you've had that, Craig, where you go to the same spot over and over again. Sometimes you won't find anything 2 or 3 times out, and then bam, all of a sudden you're hitting stuff right where you worked before.
Yeah, but, one thing I just realized, though, is, when you go to a hammered spot, you go even slower than you normally
Well,
do.
yeah, I guess you're right on that. I don't know. I think these slice factors.
It's like I've always said, an inch is as good as a mile in metal detecting. If you don't put your, coil right on the right spot on a deep target, you're not going to hear it.
Well,
you can be off by, a slight bit, and it'll sound like iron even.
Yep.
Yeah,
I always used to laugh. The guys would say, or people would say, "Oh, it's only getting an inch." The novice, more or less. It only gets an inch deeper than my detector. I'm okay, but an inch is a mile for most. Most detectors out. Every detector, you get an extra inch or two. That's pretty doggone good.
Well, I'm talking about just missing the signal.
Oh yeah.
That's the same thing almost.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's missing it because you don't have enough depth.
Right.
That's why I've gone back to all these spots, with, each generation of machines that came along. I took the machines back to see, if I could find stuff in a hammered spot, and just about every one I did. But, by the time I got to the Bliss tool, it was hard to find stuff.
Right.
Like I found a 1858 Canadian dime in a pathway that everybody had, walked right by the trenches to, to get to the main spot and swing along there. I mean, I found a U.S. belt buckle right there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know I've hunted that area, to death with the Explorer, with the Nautilus, Deus. I didn't hear it with any of those machines.
Right.
And I'm walking along and I get a moderate signal, and I'm going, this is crazy. I'm getting a great signal right here in the middle of this pathway.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking around going, I look back and I go, right over there is where I got that U.S. belt buckle years ago.
Right.
And I dig down a foot, and it's an 1858 Canadian dime with a hole drilled through it, probably dropped by a Union soldier up north.
Right. Well, that's why, like in the Dippa hunt, when we went on, that lower field down there, we must have saw at least, I must say 25, it's probably been more like 40 people walk through that same way detecting, down through that field right there. And I ended up getting 9 bullets, an old, they said it was colonial, like a colonial copper or brass, whatever, pocket knife. Of course, the blade was all rusted out of it. And then I got the King George and that wheel off a pull-behind toy from the colonial era, all in that area. I mean, it was just one after another after another. And it's like, okay, why didn't, and it may have been the direction I was going in, but, everything I got was like 9 to 12, 13 inches down. So, are they missing it? Are they thinking it was one of those bullets? There was a lot of 45, those ACP bullets down there where they, I don't know, they had a gun range or something down there. So I'm thinking a lot of people just ignored them after a while because they dug so many of them. But did they give up those good targets because of it? Too much discrimination or whatever. Or, because the item was so deep it rang up as a bullet, which, as you get deeper.
Or maybe it didn't ring up at all.
It could have not rang up at all too, I guess. But yeah, just when you're at a hunt like that and you see all these people go through there, and it's like, okay, I'm going to go down there. I'm probably not going to find nothing, but I'm going to go down there anyways, and I'm going to hunt it the way I know how to hunt it, and still end up with a bunch of good stuff. And I got some bullets that aren't really worth nothing, but I mean that many targets that just kind of made me scratch my head a little bit because I could see, maybe some of the deeper stuff, the 12, 13-inch down items. I'm using a 15-inch coil and stuff out there, so I'm probably going to have better luck at it. But I mean, the bullets kind of blew my mind a little bit because they weren't that deep, and we were looking for musket balls and all that kind of stuff. So I would, they would have been digging lead anyways. So I don't know. I mean, it just kind of right at the time seeing all those people there, like at the CW PPO hunt was the same way. Right where you hunted, right through there, you found a silver ring. You find all this stuff, and everybody else had been through there a dozen times. So it's it's kind of neat the way that works. But yeah, some of it's the detector, but it's also the way you hunt, Craig. You're just listening for just whatever you can hear, where other people might just not. Maybe they weren't running a high enough volume. Headphones are a necessity, big time. I mean, you're missing stuff. If you're not using headphones, you're missing stuff because you're not going to hear these whisper tones.
You're not going to hear the nuances as much either.
Right. You got to have a decent. I had somebody ask me that on an email, and I think they said it on the show too. What's the best headphones? And Craig and I use Killer Bees. I have Sunray Golds, Gray Ghost, Wasp. And I'm trying to think of a few more, Craig. There's, of course, the wireless ones I'm not really familiar with because those, the ones for the Quest seem very good. They don't have any lag that I can hear. But, just the wired headphones, I pay for, get the ones they're maybe a little bit more expensive, but don't buy a $25 pair of headphones and expect them to work like, a pair of Killer Bees. It's probably not going to happen. So you're actually looking for something that's sensitive enough that's made for metal detecting, not just stereo headphones. I have some guys that use earbuds. Those I tried that one time. It just annoyed me, number one. And get something with volume control on both sides of the headphones themselves. I've been working with that too by cranking up the volume on the detector, but using the volume controls on the headphones to lower it down so it's it doesn't blow your eardrums out. To me, you're opening up the machine more. Don't know if that's working. I mean, it seems to be working, but it's not like an incredible percentage of better finds or anything. I think it's allowing me to hear the whisper tones better, if that makes sense, or the slight
it's
signals.
like some of these detectors are getting the Bluetooth in them, so you can.
Right.
Use earbuds, or you can use wireless, like the
wires.
Guy using the Apple AirPods, and they're wireless. It looks kind of funny.
Yeah, Detectnics, they're Quest now. They used to be Detectnics, but anyways, they seem like they're pretty much on the ball with their wireless technology. I mean, I'm not noticing any lag with the wireless headphones that I got with the Quest Pro at all, and these things actually are the full size, like Killer Bees or whatever, size headphones where they fit all the way over your ear and everything. They're not just on top of your ear like the Deus ones. They're kind of just sitting right around top of your ear. I don't think that really matters too much. I just think for comfort-wise, it feels better when they're all the way over your ears.
Not in the summer.
Well, no. I was just going to say that. I actually took a pair of socks one time and put them over the headphones, on the side because you get to sweating so bad, all that water's going, all that sweat's going into the headphones, so you got to kind of be careful with that. But I just put it.
Also, you can hear better, your environment around you with those. I know they're weird because they go behind your head instead of a strap over the top, but
right.
I actually like them. I almost wish, they had other headphones kind of like that, but
yeah,
I don't think it would work as well with a wire hooked up to it,
right,
going
right.
to your detector. But
well, you made a good point too, Craig. Hearing outside ambient sounds, sometimes you need to do that. I actually run one of my when I'm on the beach or I'm hunting in the woods. I'll take my headphones and I'll move them back on one ear a little bit, so that I can actually get the surrounding sound a little bit more, for snakes, rattlesnakes, whatever. Or if you're on the beach in the middle of the night hunting, I mean, you want to know if somebody's coming up on you or whatever, but you don't want to have it too far off your ear and like run one off of your ear because of the surf and stuff. You wouldn't believe how loud, some of you guys that don't beach hunt, you get out there, just the wave action. If you were just using the speaker and not headphones, it gets you have to crank that thing all the way up, especially if you're down by the water, just to hear the detector a little bit better and hear those nuances. So headphones are almost a must on a beach, no doubt. But, you want to be aware of your surroundings. You want to hear what's going on around you. Be safe about it, especially in the woods when you're dealing with, like up where you're at. I mean, I think most of the states up there have timber rattlers and stuff like that. Not that you're going to come across them all the time, but, you want to hear them. They actually make, I think they call them, they're rattlesnake headphones is what they are. They have one ear cuff only. And that's, they use them out in Arizona, California, I'm sure, and that kind of thing in a desert environment, watching out for snakes or whatever else might be running around. anything bigger, you'll see the bear running at you, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, it's just try to be safe with them. But I mean, it does help you a lot.
Are those headphones half the price?
Nope. I think they were still the same price as everything else. I think they were 129, 159, something like. They may have come down now, but really, Killer Bees and Sunray Golds. I've never had a problem with a pair of Sunray Golds. I got this Killer Bees, and I like the way the sound comes through a little bit better on the Killer Bees. And hang on, guys.
Hey, it's Mama.
Oh, sorry, guys. Mom made a noise, and the other dogs went off. At any rate, with the sound-wise, I kind of like the Killer Bees better than the Sunray Golds, but that's just preference right there. I have not had any problems out of Sunray Golds at all. They're actually a really good quality, headphones. So I think, Craig, I don't know what you pay. I think I paid like $80 for my Killer Bees at the DIV. And sometimes when you go to the lots of vendors and stuff, they have them, a little bit lesser price because they have a whole crew of us that are into it, so they give us a better price. I think I got them from North Georgia Relics. He had a booth set up. I think that's who I got them from, Don over there. But yeah, just get a quality pair. It doesn't have to be like, if you don't have it. I mean, you get the best pair you can afford to get. But I think, like White's has some for like $50 some and stuff. Just work your way up. But once you get a pair of, Sunray Golds or Killer Bees, usually they last quite a long time. I've never, I still have mine from, God, my Sunray Golds must be, when I got them in 2009 anyway, so they're almost 10 years old. They still work fine. So, they're going to last you a lot longer quality-wise. Some of this stuff, if you got to be careful on what you're buying anyways, because all these clones out there too, and I think they've got that somewhat under control, but it's still kind of a problem on any product. I haven't heard it with headphones, but I'm sure it's a problem. If it is with pinpointers, it's probably going to be a problem with headphones too. So you got to make sure who you're buying from. It's a good dealer or whatever. And there's a lot of good dealers out there. Buying stuff from overseas, be careful. You never know what you're going to get. If it's too good to be true, it usually is, right? So
yeah,
I did.
Main thing is get on YouTube and search for that product, and there's probably depending on how popular it is, there'll probably be a half a dozen people. They'll either be telling you it's a bunch of crap or it's good or whatever, but most of the people who do, other than the metal detectors, they're pretty honest.
Oh yeah.
On the reviews, but I've seen a few where people are exaggerating once in a while, but.
Well, that's why when I made my review videos of the Quest and stuff, I mean, it's brutally honest. I mean, if I saw something really that stood out on those detectors that was, or whatever, as far as design and stuff that was bad, I would, I didn't really find anything that was bad on them. The only thing I didn't like on the Quest detector was the arm cuff, the way they have a screw in the arm cuff. And that was it. It's just, I thought it could have been, everything else on it's great. The way it's, engineered and everything like that. That was the only complaint I think I had on the whole detector. So far anyways. I mean, it actually works very well as far as collapsing up, and those cam locks and stuff work fantastic. But the arm cuff where it goes on there. I'd love to see a cam lock on that, or even a bigger, like a big, not a wing nut, but like we have for our control boxes, so you could take it off and put it back on. They just had this really small screw right there, and it hasn't broken yet or hasn't done anything bad yet, but it was just something I thought could have been a little bit more heavy duty, as compared to the rest of the machine. It was kind of small, but other people. I mean, you see some of these reviews, and you got to see what the comments are. Really, I guess. There's not everybody, but I mean, there's been a few, like Craig said, where they're way off the mark. They're just kind of reading off a script more than anything else. What they say the detector will do, or the manufacturer, and it is and with that too, these every detector will do these kind of things, but I guess it's the percentage of what it really does, what the real performance is, not just what it can do. I mean, you have to kind of mix them together. That's why I was trying to be pretty thorough on that, and I put those machines through a more common or uncommon way of testing it, because I hadn't been out with them very much. I think I only spent 4 or 5 hours with the Quest 40 when I made that video, but it was enough time for me to make a judgment or whatever, to give my thoughts on it. And when I started doing recovery delay test and showing what it can do, getting a bullet through a hot rock, I mean, that's something that most detectors can't do. And it's been, Ballistool can, maybe the Equinox, I don't know if anybody's ever tried it or not, but it's a very difficult thing for any metal detector to do. And if it does do it, well, it's obviously standing out above the rest. So, I try to put it through those kind of tests and get an impression from that as far as performance goes to give a good review on a product. And I do the same thing with a car stereo system or whatever else I was doing, kind of brutally honest, because it really, you know what I mean, Craig? It doesn't really, you lie about it, they're going to know it. You know what I mean? You're going to buy one, you're going to say, well, he said it would do this, and it doesn't, so he's full of crap. Well, credibility is everything. If your detector won't do it, and you're saying it is, well, that just, people aren't going to even want to bother with your videos. So that's, that's the way I've always looked at it ever since I started making videos. Make them honest, make them, what it does is what it does. Sometimes it doesn't work, or whatever. A test won't work.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's no harm, no foul. Most of the detectors couldn't do it anyways. You know what I mean? So,
well, I'd try to be a little bit more conservative on the, on
Right.
how much depth and stuff. I mean, some of these signals are very iffy, and you could get another couple inches maybe.
Right. Right.
But how many people are going to dig that kind of signal?
Yeah, you got to make it realistic as far as that goes. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you want to, you're talking about a repeatable signal that you would dig.
Right.
That's what, I go by.
Well, the one thing that really made me these Questas stand out was the
I don't
depth.
like this thing where the numbers are jumping all over the place,
No.
up and down from 0 to 90.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I was just getting at with the Quest. I did that with as far as the pinpointing mode. If I had buried these things, I'd measured them. I knew how deep they were, and when I went over them and I pinpointed them, it was always within an inch of depth. As far as it didn't matter how deep in the ground it was accurate to within an inch, and that's big because I've seen many detectors. Everything is 7 or 8 inches down. You dig it, it's 4 inches. There's a lot. If you're within an inch, you're not going to, scratch a coin, whatever. It gives you a pretty good idea. And it was accurate. Even in the swings on these marginal targets, it wasn't like 50 numbers or whatever on a VDI. It was only like within about 5 numbers either way of the actual item as far as what it was ringing up on the screen. And I've seen, and everybody knows, AT Pro and stuff, they'll jump around a lot. And you get used to that when you have that detector. So it's not really it is a downer, but it's not something you can't work through, because I've had an AT Pro and I started figuring out, okay, well, if it's going all the way down to like 20 something and it's bumping on, I don't know, 70 or something, bumping on it once in a while, or 62 once in a blue moon, well, it's probably not going to be any good. But if it's continually hitting that range and hitting up into 60s and more often, then it's probably a good item that's just a little bit deeper than normal. And that's what I have found. But with, like I said, with the Quest, I couldn't really complain. It was accurate. with an approval, as far as my approval of it, and it was able to get a repeatable signal on an 8 or 9 inch dime with relatively. I essentially turned the machine on, and it says this: turn up the gain as far as you can, but the machine is stable. So I'm not like just cranking it up to 90 and doing. I think I was at 81 or something like that, or 78 on the gain or the sensitivity, I should say. I'm not trying to push it to the limit. I would do I was trying to do it like a novice would, like somebody new to metal. It's like I'm reading the directions and doing exactly what it says to do, and then I could play with it afterwards and then like move my discriminations and all that stuff around where I wanted it. But for the video, that's all I did because I wanted to have it a fresh look at it and give my opinions on it. So, that's just. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. In other words, I don't care if somebody's paying me or not or whatever. It's not worth my, credibility to sit there and lie about something. I mean, I have no horse in the race, so to speak. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. And that's what I told Evan. I'll do a couple of videos for you, and but I'm going to tell you if it's junk, I'm going to tell you it's junk. Or whatever. If it's a medium machine or low machine, I'm going to be brutally honest with you, and that's what he wanted. And I think that's where a lot of these guys. I know that the guys like just throwing it, Don from North Georgia Relics or Heath Jones from Treasure Mountain or whatever. These guys hunt. These guys metal detect. They're going to give you their opinion about a machine. And if they use one of them like that, then they're not going to sugarcoat it. They're going to tell you if the machine won't do it, and they're saying it would. They know as well as I do. That's a kiss of death. You got to, and they know this, and they're going to give you the a square answer about what the performance is of a machine. At least they've always have in the past. So, and I'm the same way. I wouldn't sit there and tell you something was great if it wasn't. It's like the White Spectrum, V3. I enjoyed the machine, but it was a lot of work when it got to be too much, as far as, but it enabled me to understand metal detectors in general a little bit better. But if you're looking to go out there and metal detect and you haven't really owned a metal detector before, or you maybe used, it's definitely a machine that you're going to have to learn. You're going to have to understand what those settings are in order to get the best out of it. So if you're not willing to do that or don't want to do that, that's understandable. You go to a different brand of machine or a different kind of machine and go to, you don't have to do so much of that. So it's preference too. But, you got to put the time in. No matter what machine you ever buy, there is a learning curve. You're not going to get around it. I've owned too many machines. Craig's owned too many, owned too many machines. And we've had to go through the same process with every single one of them at the start to get an idea of what the machine would do, what the settings are, and how to adjust it and get better performance out of it. And a lot of times, we mess up a lot.
These modern machines are a lot tougher too than the older ones.
Yeah,
the older ones, basically just had a few knobs.
Right.
So a lot of times you didn't have to really mess with them that much. And they didn't have as much power back in the old days. A lot of these machines now are, if you don't have them, they got so much power, sometimes you're using too much power.
Exactly.
Or if you got the settings, too much sensitivity with the gain or whatever. There's a lot of more factors involved now than there used to be.
Yeah, you can't expect to grab one of these machines. I don't care which one you pick up right now. Anything that came out in the last 2 years, if you can go and turn that machine on and go and think that you're getting, it's all that all the time, well, you haven't even scratched the surface yet of what that machine can do. You got to get outside of the box. You have to first understand your detector, understand what it's doing a little bit. Get out there, 5 or 6 times with it, and then you can start getting your mind wrapped around how it's hitting on different targets, what they sound like. If you have, multiple tones and stuff like that, where it's at, then you can start making adjustments. But if you go right out there and try to crank the sensitivity all the way up and all this, and you say, well, it's noisy and it's unstable, well, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Understand your machine and stuff. And if it's a machine that you don't think you're going to want to do that with, then you got to shop around and find one that's good, more into your style of hunting. I mean, you don't have to. I guess what I'm trying to say, Craig, you don't need to go out and buy $1 million machine. Being, you can work your way up to that, or you can buy one that's half the price and try to work with it and see what you can get out of it. Because a lot of these machines, if you spend some time with them, you can get them to do more than what most people are. I mean, I'm sure that like the stealth diggers are like that. They know their machines. They know, they spent time with them. They're pushing them to the limit. That's what they should be doing, and it's benefiting them. But they dig a lot of junk too. If you're not digging junk, you're not going to get treasure. I mean, it's just going to happen. You're going to have a lot more junk than treasure. But that's half the fun of it too. But don't be afraid of your machine by any means. You always can go back to the preset and start over again as far as settings go. And if you go out, you get some people that, if you're going out once a month or twice a month, obviously the guy that's going out every single day or every other day or whatever, he might be a good person to talk to because he has more experience with the machine, and may be able to help you out with yours. So there's benefits and everything to it. You may not, you could beat the curve a little bit, with the help of somebody that lives near close to you. Now understand if you're sitting in Florida and you're talking to a guy in Virginia about the same detector, that guy in Virginia is not going to be able to run the same settings as you are and be stable in most cases. Especially if he's around Culpeper. He's dealing with mineralization and everything else. And then down here in Florida, you're dealing with salt and all that. So there's differences in the soil and stuff. So you can't expect to run the same identical settings and get the same result. And I dealt with that with Blisstool for years.
I've also seen people over the years, they run preset. They got a brand new machine, and they just put it preset, and that's it.
Yeah.
A year or two later, they're still in preset.
Right.
And
if they're happy with it, that's fine. But you're not. There's room to improve. There's room to help you find more stuff. Get out of that a little bit and take it to the next level. If you're into the hobby like that, some people aren't, Craig. I mean, some people just want to go out and just swing a detector and dig some stuff.
You really have to experiment. Just get on the internet or Facebook and ask people, and they'll tell you. There's plenty of people that use these machines,
right?
That they'll set them up or tell you how to set it up, or
I've talked to guys on the phone for, Craig, you have too, for 2 or 3 hours sometimes, and it's not even about the Blisstool or whatever. It's just about metal detecting in general and what they're finding, what they think, what do you think may help them? And you get into these conversations, almost like the show. You just never know which path it'll take, and it helps them out, and it actually makes you rethink, or at least does me, rethink about what I told them to make sure that I'm pushing to the breaking point as far as my detectors go. It's keeping me in the loop, keeping me up to date, keeping my mindset the same way, to get the performance out of them. There's no sense in, like if you have a GPX 5000, there's a learning curve. 4,500, whatever. Pulse, I don't know anything about Pulse. I haven't really used one very much, but there is definitely a learning curve in them. And I'm sure that, like a TDI or an Infinium or, as you get different models of and brands of pulse induction detectors, some things may work better on one than the other. And that's just, you got to find that out. There's no way, unless you talk to another guy that uses one, that's going to give you a little head start, but it may not work in your area the same way. I noticed like in Australia and stuff, they're using, I've had some guys ask me about some settings for over there, and unfortunately our startup settings, what we call startup settings with the Blisstool, was pretty much going to work in every environment that I could think of. The only exception is turning down the gain a little bit on some, like more mineralized ground. So the newer Blissstools were like that. You can actually give people presets to start out with, and they usually work, 90% good, Craig, you say, depending on their soil conditions. So that was nice. So, but it wasn't long before they were moving out of those. And I think it's because they're knobs and toggles, not just a menu screen. Menu screens used to get me kind of crazy because you're trying to, once you set it and go to the next item on the menu to adjust it, You had to keep on remembering where you were at and everything, backing up and going forward to get your settings right. And then you come across something you didn't understand.
Yeah, I had to explore, and it had like all these like flow chart type things where it branched off in different directions, to do different functions within the machine.
Right.
And nowadays, you don't have that. You get basically a menu or something, that you can just go down, and like on the Deus, you can just basically scroll the machine up and the menu up and down, like for different frequencies and all kinds of stuff. So
right.
It's so much easier than it used to be when they first came out with the first computerized machines.
Yeah, people say, well, they used to say about the Blisstal, oh my gosh, there's 10 knobs and 3 toggles. Well, a White's machine, like Spectre V3, I think they said there was over 2,000 different combination of settings you can use, or adjustments you can make on that machine. 2,000. That's a lot of dang. That's why it drove my wife crazy. With me, I finally put the headphones on.
The other thing with the
and
Bliss tool was one of them was one of the knobs was the threshold, which most machines have. One of them was a volume.
Right. Tone.
And then you had 2 ground balance buttons. I mean, knobs instead of just one.
Right.
But
one's a fine tune, one's a chorus.
One was fine tuned, but that's not too hard to figure out.
Toggle stayed the same
you
spot.
you have a volume switch. That was another one. So you really only have about 4
things. Yeah.
The depth discriminator is probably the weirdest one. That's just something that's I've never, nobody's ever heard of before.
Well, that was one of the easiest ones for me to explain on a Bliss tool. The depth discriminator, you hear us call it DD adjustment on it. It's essentially strictly for iron itself and the depth of what you detect it at or what you want to discriminate out iron. You can go lower on that. The main is your toggle, your discrimination toggle is pretty much allowing or not allowing non-ferrous items like gold, aluminum, stuff like that, being able to discriminate out those. So if you're a relic hunter, you're probably going to leave it in 3 because you want to accept all non-ferrous. The only real adjustment you have is your discrimination level, and you want to get that, if you start digging nails, you move it up just a little bit until you stop digging nails, and it's usually around between 3.5 and 5. And you can run it like that. It's not. That was easier for me. I don't know. Maybe some people it wasn't. But when I dealt with some of the other machines, it didn't give me the option to do this finite kind of. It was either discriminate it out or keep it. You know what I mean, Craig? You just pretty much put it on there. This allowed me to let in a little bit, but I could tell by the tone or the sound of when it went over the target. I could tell you, oh, that's iron right off the bat, just because it has a weird spit at the end or whatever. So it was a lot more versatile, I should say, and being able to fine tune and to really tweak these settings, like the ground balance. You have your main ground balance, and then you have your fine tune for ground balance, so you could really get that in there. But that became a non-issue for me because when detectors are totally perfectly ground balanced, you're actually getting less depth than if they were moved to the positive side a little bit. And that's mostly with analog machines, but the new ones, the new digital, may be the same way. And I haven't tried that out with the Quest yet, but I can actually move to a ferrite ground balance.
I know on the Deus you can do that. It's called hot cold programming, and
oh yeah, I call it something different. I call it just pretty much positive ground balance or negative ground balance. On a wet salt beach, I put to 0 on the ground balance, totally to 0 on a Bliss tool, and I put it in iron ore mode. We're not dealing with iron, but we're dealing with salt. I was just able to come up with these settings, just kind of going opposite of what everybody else would do, and it actually worked. And I'm digging, gold chains and stuff at 12 inches down in the wet sand, So
yeah, I used to do a thing called super tuning on the Toltec 100 Tesoro,
right?
And but you couldn't use a pinpoint mode while you were in that mode in the super tuning.
Right. Yep. Well,
to pinpoint discrimination, but that there was a pretty good increase in depth.
there was a setting for a Beach Hunter ID. It's the VLF version of a beach hunting machine or an underwater machine, what have you. And it only had three, if I remember right. It's been 10 years, but I think it had 3 knobs on it, and there was a way to super tune it, or they said it was a way of super tuning. I never came up with whether it really worked, but I found stuff, so I guess it did in a way. But it was pretty much turning up the volume, and obviously you don't want to do this with, and blow your eardrums out, obviously. But it was a way of pumping the coil and having the sensitivity all the way up or something. I have to look at that video again, but there's a video on YouTube about super tuning a Beach Hunter ID metal detector. And, in a way, I think it did work, but I didn't notice a great big difference. But then again, I don't hunt beaches a lot, so I didn't have the time or the season, beach hunting, with that machine. But if I was out there every day with it, I may have noticed a bigger change in it. But there's ways of making these machines more sensitive. But you always run that risk of too much. It's going to happen. You're going to find that point where you can't do any more as far as power goes or threshold. And a lot of times I'll start switching stuff up and working with the discrimination with the highest setting I can get on sensitivity or what have you, and then going to the discrimination side of it where you're discriminating out, iron or whatever, and working with that one, trying to link them together, make them work together a little bit better. That's where the Blissful shine, because it didn't matter whether you were in turbo mode or normal mode. It wasn't just a boost with that machine. It's actually the machine, when it's in turbo mode, everything on that machine is just jumped a notch. And that's why, like
it's actually tripled, I think.
Tripled, yes.
Power's tripled it.
Yeah, it's triple the power. And that just goes to show in normal mode, you can run, I think it was 30 hours, 35 hours or something in normal mode with the battery life. And if you're running in turbo mode, it's only 16 hours. It's an incredible amount of boost on that, but it's not a boost just in power, raw power. It's the discrimination is more powerful. The sensitivity is more powerful. The whole machine has been designed in that high frequency, or I should say low frequency. I only run 7.4 in turbo mode, but it was designed to work together across the board on that machine, not just a boost button, essentially an RX gain or whatever gain being boosted up, because that's not going to help you. All gain is.
Yeah, that was a big deal when we went from the V3 to the V5. When they had the boost.
Yeah.
The
turbo mode, whatever.
That was turbo mode, yeah.
Yeah, the V3 model, the perfect example of the calibration on it is, and we always say, it says it in the directions, do not turn the machine up above 3 on the volume if you're wearing headphones until, leave it at 2 and then work it way up on it so that you don't hurt your ears, because this thing, only had 60 hertz between minimum and maximum adjustment room, where the V5s and 6s have 600 hertz difference. So you have an incredible amount more adjustment on all the knobs on there, but you're also running an incredible amount of power through that thing. But it's putting it to the ground. I'm really not getting any. I guess I need to do an EMI test on those with one of those EMI thingamajigs like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
But like the Mind Lab machine, the water machine, Excalibur 2, I think it was Excalibur 2, was pushing out a huge amount of EMI off the, around you. I mean, it was above, it was like 30 or 40 or something like that. The guy did a test on YouTube. I was watching it, and he used a Beach Hunter ID, which was more around the level that was safe to be around a lot. But you're also working a Excalibur in the water, under the water, so you're not probably going to get those effects. It's not going to go through the water like it does just the air. That's what I always figured anyway. So, it depends on the application for the item. But you got to watch EMI on some of the machines, like we were talking about the Garrett Infinium. I mean, obviously, if it's making detectors go off everywhere within 20 feet of it, or 30 feet from it, there's
well, that's
there's
not always necessarily true because of the frequency. You know, if it's the
oh no,
more or less the frequency a lot of times. So
I think it was the way the coil was too, depending on how the coil run. It was one of those odd shaped coils, if I remember right. It's pulse induction detector, anyways. But I could get right next to a GPX with the V3 Bliss tool and hunt, but I couldn't get anywhere near Infinium with the V3. Well, without I didn't have an adjustment room to offset the EMI coming off of it. Now with the V6, I could hunt right by them. I could hunt right next to them, and not have the falsing or the whatever you want to call it, the interference. But I can hunt. We hunt underneath power lines or whatever around electric fences. I know my White's machine. I couldn't get within 25 foot of a doggone electric fence. It was making it go crazy. But with the Bliss tool, I can get right up just about underneath them. With the V4s or V5s and V6s, the V3, I don't think so. I don't think it would work. Possibly, but you're talking a lot of outgoing EMIs. So I got kind of deep today. Sorry, guys, I got real deep. I actually ran. It's almost 10 o'clock.
yeah,
Didn't realize
the thing is like 5 minutes of. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
seem like that.
Yeah, I even see a lot of the guys. I think, well, let me see here. Well, I already said a lot of them, Jason and Mark and Bill. I see Relic. I think it's Sevens on chat too. Hello, and Barbara was on here. Just everybody, thanks for listening, guys, and getting involved on chat right there. For those of you new to the kind of newer to the hobby, if you're just checking out the show and stuff like that, there's a lot of experience just on chat. So if you ever didn't want to call in live, live on the radio, you can always get on chat right here, and I may catch it, but I know one of these other guys would and give you an answer. Or help you out any way they can too. So be sure to check that out. Also check out the other shows that they have on Spreaker. There's just not only metal detecting shows. There's all kinds of topics on Spreaker.com. Guys, just doing carpentry or whatever. It's just weird.
Podcasts in general is
booming.
It's
huge.
Bigger and bigger. It's huge. Yeah.
And we, every one of the shows runs a different format anyways, as far as the metal detecting shows, everybody runs their own kind of show. So it's, we're not walking on each other that way either, I don't think. I mean, some people have a lot more guests. Some people, like we do a lot more open lines than anything, I think it gives an opportunity for you guys to kind of call in too, even if you're new to the hobby and, kind of bring up new topics or ask questions or what have you. If we can answer them, we will. But we usually can find out. One of these people on chat will usually have the answer before I do, so which is kind of cool. So, definitely check out the other shows and stuff, and be sure to like and follow them too. I mean, it really we don't make any money on the stuff, but it's nice to see that people are listening, and you get Craig. Really, I was looking at the demographics. Or now, whatever you want to call it, I think it's demographics as far as what countries and stuff. And, really people listen all over the world, Japan and UK. And we don't really talk about them because we don't, hunt over there. But if any of you guys from these other, England or wherever, Australia too, we have a lot of listeners in Australia. You ever want to try to call in through Skype, I'll probably give that information out of my next, it's just pretty much my name with a dot in the middle and a one at the end. You can call through Skype, so it doesn't cost you any money, international calls and stuff. We can do that too. And I guess, Craig, I would need to put that up. I've never really done that before, but it may be a way to get some opinions and some stories from other countries too. Because, a lot of us, I'd love to swing a coil over there in the UK or in Australia looking for gold or, I'm all about that, going to different countries. If I could do it all the time, I would, but I can't. So I got to live vicariously through them. That's what these videos and stuff are about too. Get in the middle of the winter and the guys are all over the YouTube because, well, they can't get out and hunt, but they'd rather watch somebody else hunt at least. At least they can live it through their eyes, right? So,
yeah.
But I'll probably wrap it up for the night. It's 10 o'clock. I got to get to sleep. I haven't had much of that lately, so I'm probably babbling now anyway. So. It seems like an ongoing problem the last 2 weeks, hasn't it? So,
yeah.
But anyways, guys, thanks for listening. Craig, thanks for being on, and we'll catch you on I guess Thursday's the next time we're on 8 p.m. Eastern time, and we're on Saturday nights, of course, at 8 p.m. Eastern also. So, if you're able to get out there and beat the rain like I wasn't able to do today, please do it. Go out and find some good stuff posted up on so people can see what you're finding and stuff, and we'll talk to you next time. So get out there, keep digging, and God bless.